this chat with Nobody Else's Auto. It is 7 o'clock Sunday evening for Sunday Night Live Chat. It looks like we've got a few of us on already on YouTube. We're seeing if Facebook will connect tonight. Obviously, that's been a challenge for us the last several weeks. Number one's on with us. I'm in Central Time, number one. That's where we're at. You get out to Western Kansas, and you will hit Mountain Time right before you get to Colorado. But we're actually in Central Time here in Great Bend. So got a few people jumping on with us on Facebook. We'll see if Facebook decides to cooperate with us this evening or if it's going to keep freezing up like it has been doing. And see what happens over there. Hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that those guys can hang out with us tonight as well. So got a few people jumping on over there. Do not have any comments popping up yet on Facebook, so we'll see if it's going to work. YouTube's been treating us pretty good, so hopefully we can keep ticking along with YouTube as well. There we got a few people on Facebook. Joe's on with us. Kevin's on with us. Several of our regulars on YouTube. Empty Pocket Builds. Lee's on. Chris is on. Glad you guys all made it back. Great to see you guys swinging back by to hang out with us as well. Obviously, things have been crazy for me. Getting back into the groove a little bit this week. Still got a lot of cool stuff to talk about that I was out doing while I was on the road, so we'll get into some of that tonight. Got a motor trend to check out tonight. And, of course, trivia, raffle, new inventory, all of our regular routine. But lots of cool stuff going on, and glad you guys all made it back. Let's see. Jerry from New Mexico's on. Glenn's on with us, one of our regulars on Facebook. Hopefully Facebook works for you guys tonight. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I know it's been fits for you. William's on with us. Glad you made it, William. Lots of regulars on with us on YouTube. Really appreciate you guys coming back. Still can't quite believe that you do, but you do, so we're going to roll with it. Jill and Doug Prayer on with us, our good friends from the Auburn Court Duesenberg Company. Awesome. Glad you guys made it. I think that's Heather Thomas in that picture. I'm not sure. I haven't had it down in so long. I think that's who that is in the clear in the back picture. It's been covered up for so long, I don't even remember. But anyway, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We've got a good group of people on both formats. Hopefully Facebook will cooperate tonight and we can all hang out and have a good time. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get rolling. As always, questions, comments, be sure to throw them up there, and we'll sure try to address them. And even if it's something I don't know the answer for, a lot of times other people in the chat can help you out as well. If we do get any trolls on here, as always, I appreciate you guys jumping on them and help letting them know that they are not welcome in the chat. I don't have a separate admin to try to monitor that. I just kind of, we do a pretty good job of self-policing us, so I ignore them, and you guys let them know they're not welcome. And so far, we've been able to get rid of them that way. So that's awesome, and I appreciate your guys' support on that. The promos tonight, the promo models tonight, right behind me, we're going with the year of 1958. We've got a 58 Cadillac Fleetwood and a 1958 Buick Roadmaster. So I thought we'd just go with a pair of 58s tonight. No, number one, we're not going to draw tonight. We did put the raffle off until July because I've missed so much of June. So the June raffle is going to extend into July. So that's when, so we'll give that away at the end of July. We announced that last week just because I missed so much time this week to try to take care of it. But I am caught up with who I've got in. We'll go over that a little bit later, but we're not going to give it away till the end of July. Lance is with us on the road between Mesa, Arizona and Utah. So Empty Pocket Bills loves the Buick. I do too. I mean, I'm a big fan of the year 1958. I've got my 58 Pontiac. My dad's got a 58 Buick. So always been a big fan of 58s. Kevin says Sunday nights wouldn't be the same without this. Well, I appreciate the kind words. Stacy's on with us. Glad to see you, Stacy. Jeannie's on with us and said that they are still having streaming issues on Facebook. So, which doesn't surprise me. It's been a long time since Facebook actually cooperated all the way through one of these deals. So, but like always, you can always jump over to YouTube and watch on YouTube and still comment on Facebook, and I can catch that on the feed over on the other monitor. So, like I said, if Facebook continues to be fixed, that's about the only other option we've got. Let's see. Randy's on with us. So, yeah, number one says that's way too much iron for that shelf. Yeah, that's true. But they're cool. Obviously, I love promo models. I love incorporating. They've got a whole other box of promos this week. I'm super jacked about that we're going to get to on a Toy Tuesday coming up here pretty soon. So anyway, what's been going on? Like I said, last week we talked about Rocky Mountain Race Week. Now we're going to back up to the week prior to that because I did a ton of cool stuff the week prior to that as well. There's just no way to cram it all in last week. But obviously, one of the big features, big attractions for me, as always, getting to spend some time with Doug Prey at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I love that place. I love going there. I'm sure you guys have picked that up from some of the other stuff we've done. Always have a great time down there. They just do so much super cool stuff. Be sure to look them up on Facebook or, they've got a website, acdfactory.com. There's so many cool things going on there that we always get to see when we're down to the restorations. See, number one, are we doing a yard walk for the 4th of July? We'll see what the weather is. We tried it Friday and it was only in the mid 90s and my phone overheated and shut down. If we can get a decent sunny day where it's calm and maybe in the 80s, I would like to try to do another one, another yard walk that maybe will be a little more successful than the one we tried Friday. But I couldn't understand why the phone was overheating so bad, considering it was just in the 90s, but it did, and it shut us down. 68 Cougar parts. I've got one 67 or 68 Cougar parts car in the yard right now. Jason's on from Northeast Missouri. Glad you made it. Dan made it. And comments have slowed down dramatically, and viewers have dropped on Facebook too. So I've got a feeling we still have issues with Facebook. So it's giving me some error messages as well. So we'll see what happens there. If not, if you're on Facebook, please jump over to YouTube, and I'll still keep an eye on the comments over here as well. But Auburn Cord Duesenberg companies, there's so much history there. When you look back to those companies, clear back into the 20s and 30s, and the fact that the company still exists, they still have the parts, they still build the cars. They're building a brand new run of Auburns, the Generation 3, the G3 Auburn Speedster. And it's just a super cool idea. They are the factory. They are still the Auburn company, and they're going to build a limited run of steel-bodied Auburn boat-tail speedsters with modern-day technology in them. Got to see the one of those that they're working on with modern. It's an original Auburn chassis, an original Auburn engine with new technology in the engine, so that these cars will be able to run down the highway and keep up with traffic. Completely stock looking, but new, stronger internals to make them go down the highway better. And that's, and it's just so cool. Kevin said YouTube, he's got some problems with YouTube as well. I don't know if any of the rest of you guys are having problems with YouTube or not. No, I didn't. Zuckerberg didn't call me for any parts that I didn't sell to him. So I hope he's not shutting me down. So, but, there's just so much, and then they've got the blasting division, where they do sandblasting, which is a whole nother deal because it's not just sandblasting. They have handfuls of different types of medias they can use depending on what you need blasted, which is so cool learning about that too. Because if you just use sand on sheet metal, you'll destroy it. And they have so many different types of mediums that they can blast wood, they can blast piano keys, they can blast anything and clean it up and do a great job on it. So love going down there. I shot a bunch more pictures, so stay tuned for some of that. Just be sure to stay tuned on their Facebook page, on the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Factory and Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company's Facebook page as well. So I've been helping them with that too. I shot a ton of cool pictures, so we're gonna have a lot of cool content coming up on that page as well. But just amazing to walk through those parts bins, and all this stuff is brand new old stock stuff still from the 30s on the shelf for these amazing cars, because Auburns and Cords are both amazing cars. So new tech, we were talking about just the actual blasting, the different types of medium they can use to blast and strip metal or whatever, to strip old material off of it and clean it up. That's what we were talking about with the blasting stuff. So like I said, more cool stuff coming up there. And every time I go there, you're always going to hear a lot about it because I get so excited about it. Just an awesome place. Doug's such a great guy and so knowledgeable. His dad, Glenn Prey, bought the company in 1960, literally with a borrowed $20 bill. It's an amazing story. You've got to get, if you haven't read the books and studied that story, call them up, order the books. And it's just so cool. If you're a car guy, there's no way you can't enjoy the story behind how the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company ended up in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and how it is still there, still exists today. And they restore cars, they do repair work on classic cars, and they're building a new Auburn. Just amazing to think about what's still going on. You know, and Auburn, I believe, was incorporated in 1900. So the company's 120 years old, and they're building a new batch of Auburns. But so cool, so neat. And the Auburn Salon was still there that we did a video on. Amazing car. The restored Boattail Speedster we did a video on was still there. The Cord Berlin, did some live stuff with them while we were there. It's just such an amazing place, and I absolutely love going there. So, and coming up for Toy Tuesday, I picked up some more cool stuff from my collection that I bought from Doug. Can't wait to show you a few of those pieces as well, because obviously, you know, we love going there because it's so cool, and got to pick up a few cool things for our collection as well. Joe made it on. Glad you made it, Joe. But that was only part of the highlights of being down there. While we were there hanging out with Doug, the G3s are actually the G3s that they're building now are going to be built on an original chassis with an original chassis number. So that's what they're going to be built on, is on an original Auburn chassis with a brand new body with new internals in them is what they're doing with them. And I believe they are building 6 of them. And I think the first one is sold. So there's not a whole ton of them to go around, but they're a pretty amazing car. Just what I saw of where they were at on this one, what it took to form that steel body and make it that right is just awesome. So be sure to stay tuned on to some of their content and see what's coming up. I've still got some videos to post that I shot when I was there as well. Old School made it with us tonight. Glad you made it, Old School. But while we were there hanging out with Doug, we got to do a couple other super cool things as well. One of Doug's friends from Hyman Limited out of St. Louis, I believe, was there for the Meekum auction. Got to go to lunch with him, which was super cool. Sean was a great guy. And if you haven't heard of Hyman, Hyman, I believe, Limited out of St. Louis, check their website out. They do a lot of really heavy classics. Obviously, they end up with other stuff. There's some other stuff on their website, but they do a lot of the heavy classic stuff. So it was very interesting to get to go to lunch with him and sit down with Sean and Doug and talk about a part of the business that I don't get exposed to a lot. Kevin's on from Houston. Glad you made it, Kevin. We must still be having fits with YouTube because nothing's feeding, or on Facebook, excuse me, because nothing's feeding on Facebook. But there's a lot of that stuff kind of is definitely out of my budget, but it is so cool to see the stuff, learn about the stuff, talk to the guy that handles a lot of that stuff. There again, you can always learn something, even if it's not directly related to the car you have or the car you're doing. You always learn something from these guys and something about what's going on in the market and where things are headed. And it's just so cool getting to spend time with people like that you didn't know, and you learn more about the old car world from them. So, yeah, that's been up there ever since we started Old School. All that stuff's been up there. I've just been changing the promo models around on us. So, so it was cool getting to have lunch with Sean. And then the other cool thing we got to do, and this was awesome, and Doug was kind enough to take us with him, went to a 3D printer down there. And this was just mind-blowing what they were capable of doing. The different machines, the technology, that is just, it was just almost incomprehensible what these people could do. It was so amazing. You can't thank Doug enough for taking us along on that trip either. And they were so cool because think of 3D printing, and most of us have seen a 3D printer. You got a box with literally, like rolls of thread of plastic that it prints out into a shape. And that's only one part of the 3D printing process. And what was so cool, see, what tires are they using? I think you can still get tires for those cars. A lot of those heavy classics used similar sized tires on those big wire wheels. I don't think tires are too big of an issue. So, the 3D printing, when we went there, we sat down in the conference room. We were talking about some parts that Doug needed made and some other, potential things. And they had a thing laying there that looked weird. It was a really weird, kind of looked similar to like a control arm, but it was it would be like smaller off like an ATV or something. And it's Old School says he saw a video where a 3D machine put up a house. I haven't seen that one, but he had this. It looked like a bracket. It looked similar to a control arm. That's the only way I could describe it. But it had a lot of intricate features in it for strength. The way it was, put together, it wasn't just a basic triangle. It had different, pieces of structure running back and forth and zigzag across it for strength. And so we were checking it out, and come to find out, none of us knew what it was, because it was an antenna bracket for the space station that they had designed and developed. So that was what was pretty cool when we got there and got to talk to this guy. And Terry was super great. Can't say enough about how great they were to talk to, and showed us their machines and what they're capable of doing. And there's a lot of different types of 3D printing. They have a liquid printer. They have a printer that uses basically, it looks like sand, but it's actually plastic particles they use to print stuff. So many different things, so much technology. It was amazing. It was so cool to see it, and see what these guys were really capable of creating with this new technology. So that was mind blowing. And like I said, I was so excited we got to go see it, and what it's really capable of doing, and the doors that this can open up, for a lot of us, even in any world, but especially in the car world, where a certain part you might not be able to find it, or maybe you need something just slightly different than the OE piece to make your build work. So much potential. Number one, did the house look like soft serve ice cream cone? Well, I would hope they made a video of it. At least still stood when they got done with it. Robot arms will build homes in the future. Well, that's possible. There's a lot of stuff going on with robots too, but the 3D printing stuff was amazing. So glad we got to check that out as well. So, like I said, if it wasn't exciting enough just getting to go back to the Auburn Cord-Duesenberg company and getting to see Doug and hanging out there, a lot of other really super cool pieces of the puzzle came together while we happened to be there that week. And like I said, can never thank Doug enough for the time he takes with us when we're there. And can't wait to show you guys some of the super cool pieces we picked up for our personal collection on Toy Tuesday. So then to wrap the week up, and you got to remember, this all happened between Wednesday and Friday a week and a half ago, and I had to be back in Great Bend Friday night for the Rocky Mountain Race Week Racers Welcome event. So things were pretty hectic, but I still had to catch something else on Friday morning before we could even head back. Mecum, Tulsa. Didn't have a lot of time because I needed to get headed back for the Racers Welcome event, but we did get there for Friday morning, got to check it out, saw some friends, and got to look over the inventory, check out some cool cars. They ended up packing the house. Even a few weeks before, some people were kind of curious as to whether or not, they were going to have a full show. And that place was packed. They ran a lot of cars through there. And like I said, it was a new venue for them. I believe Lake had been holding an auction there on that date for the last several years. And I believe Lake sold or closed up, one or the other. And so Mecum took the date and the venue, and they filled it up. And it looks like they had a heck of a sale. Prices all look strong. I went through some of the results after the fact, since I was only there that morning, but I did have a lot of pictures and things that we took while we were there. Was able to go back and kind of reference. As always, they had several Ford GTs. As always, those filled the top 10 for the event. In fact, 3 of the top 10 were all Ford GTs. There was one that I thought was really cool. I was kind of excited to see, and then I started reading. There was a GT in Gulf livery there, the iconic light blue with orange stripe on it. And then I got to read it, and it actually was a rebuilder that they had painted in the Gulf livery. It was not a factory painted car. And I think that car still did like 220,000 as a rebuilder. So that obviously that market's still pretty strong. Some of the other cool stuff that we did see while we were there, a little Cyclone, the GMC Cyclones from the early 90s. Those were always cool to see. They had one of those there. Something else is starting to pop up. Obviously, there's always a few motorcycles. And obviously the mini bikes have gotten really hot the last few years. Three-wheelers, starting to see a lot of three-wheelers show up and run with motorcycles. They had several three-wheelers there as well that went across the block this time. Most of them did sell, if I remember correctly. Yeah, my buddy Grant's on. He says, yeah, that Cyclone was sweet. It was a good-looking little pickup. So those are neat. Cyclones and Typhoons, something you just don't see very often. But that's what's cool about you go to these big sales. You do see some of that stuff that doesn't always pop up, which was kind of cool. One thing that I did notice that they had a handful of there and did really well that you don't think are all that old, but in all honesty, they're getting old, are some of the Dodge Cummins pickups, and they're breaking the bank. A couple of them that stood out. Yeah, that's right, Grant. That's what's starting to show up is that era of three-wheelers. Those, mid-'80s 250R, things like that are starting to show up at these collector auctions because people are starting to look for them again. But, they had an 05 Dodge Cummins, which you don't think is all that old, but the truck brought $40,000 at the auction. They had a 92 Dodge Cummins. That truck's 30 years old now, pretty slick black dually. That truck brought a little over $40,000. One of them didn't sell, and I was really curious to see if it was going to sell because I wanted to see what this truck would do. And obviously, I run Cummins. I've got a couple of them, so I kind of pay attention to them. They had an 01 Cummins with 5,300 miles on it. Like Grant says, the 12 valve market's ridiculous. Well, some of these, these are 24 valve too. That 01 with 5,300 miles, and I looked at the truck, and I sure it was legit. It was a nice pickup. It was red, extended cab, short bed. Did not sell. They closed the bid at $40,000. So I don't know what they wanted out of it, but that market's getting crazy. So definitely something that there again, we may not think of as being old, but we're starting to see the next shift. We're getting into the shift of the 80s and 90s stuff. We're starting to see the shift in the late 90s, early 2000s stuff, especially some of these harder to find pickups that people remember and things like that. So overall, though, they had a super strong sale. The numbers looked good. The sell-through rate was good. And it was just cool to get to go. It's first Meekum we've done this year. I don't know how many more we'll catch. I'm sure we'll do Kansas City. I don't know if we'll get another one squeezed in there or not in between time, but always a fan, always like to go, always have a good time. And you always get to see a ton of cool stuff. That's what's so great about them. Something else has been going on. If you guys haven't been on hotrod.com lately, I've been doing a lot of work with hotrod.com. We've got several articles up on there as well, but there was one thing that I did notice that I thought was a great article that I read the other day. To go to hotrod.com, especially if you're a Trans Am guy, they had a great article, and it was one that was written several years ago because he's passed now, but it was an actual interview with Hal Needham, the director of Smoking the Bandit. So that was a good read. I don't remember if I'd read it before when they published it originally 6, 8, 10 years ago, but go back and read that one too on hotrod.com. It was a pretty good article. So definitely wanted to tell you guys about that as well. And so that's kind of what my week before last was. And then, like I said, we rolled back into town at 4:15 on Friday and headed straight to the Racers Welcome. I had to get a hold of the guy that had my car. I had to go coordinate with him to get my car picked up and get through the Racers Welcome event Friday night downtown, which was awesome. No, number one, I didn't get a new big gulp yet. So yeah, I'm still working with that one. I need to get another one. That one's probably about to split out, but we're rolling with it for now. Sounds good, Grant. Yeah, just have him give me a shout if Will's Wheels wants to stop by. I know he's in that group of Central States YouTubers you got put together. So yeah, have him give me a shout. More than happy to have to chat with him. But the Racers Welcome event when we got back that Friday night, how many towns are going to open up the courthouse square, have the Chamber of Commerce down there, have a baby pool full of beer, popcorn machine, swag bags with coupons for all the restaurants in town, all kinds of stuff set up for a racing event. So that was cool. And then from there, straight to the track Saturday morning, get the car through tech and start running and then take off. So it was bonkers. Yep, old school. I did actually, there again, I bought more cars this week too. Shocking. So we'll get to that here shortly. I've got some notes on that when we get to the new inventory section of the chat. But at this point, it's about time to get into the magazine. Who's ready for the magazine this week? This week, we've got a motor trend from February of 1978, the 1978 Car of the Year. I don't know if anybody remembers what the Car of the Year was in 1978, but it's probably not what you think it was. So if anybody's got any guesses, throw them up there real quick before we get boogieing into this thing. But and I'll show you. But it's not probably what anybody would have expected to be Car of the Year. Baby pool full of beer makes you double take. Yeah. But there again, it was just so great that they actually did that for the racers. So old school says he remembers 1978. So here we go. The 1978 cars, I guess there were a pair of them. That's right, old school. The Plymouth Horizon and the Dodge Omni were the cars of the year in 1978. So old school was right. He's got a good memory. Grant says Fairmont, but that's because he's partial and got a Fairmont. Nate said Little Red Express. All great choices and probably better choices than a Dodge Omni or a Plymouth Horizon, in all honesty. But that's what it was. So we'll go ahead and get into tonight's issue of Motor Trend. Old school says he has a Google search memory. Well, that's a pretty good memory to have, I guess. Sometimes you got a Google search memory. But we'll go ahead and get into the magazine. We'll start out, as we always do when we get into motor trends of this era, with the Detroit Report, which is always some cool information about what manufacturers have coming out. One topic we've discussed a little bit in the first segment of the Detroit Report was the DeLorean being delayed, actually, which we've talked about DeLoreans on here a few times. And it talks about, they were trying to sell getting the dealer's body set up, getting the funds raised to get the factory off the ground and start producing cars. Obviously, it was a very, very big undertaking, delayed multiple times, multiple locations looked at. In fact, when this was written, they were still talking about the fact that the cars were going to be built in Puerto Rico. And we obviously know now that they were built in Ireland. The Puerto Rico deal didn't even go through. So, just another thing that there again, we're looking back with hindsight as far as what happened at that point in time. Another Detroit Report segment, Don't Bump Me, automobile bumpers, about the new standards that were coming out for 1980, which required that the impacts will cause a 3 to 5 mile an hour impact will cause no more damage than a 3/8 inch dent and a 3/8 inch offset bending of a bumper face bar. So there again, this is 78. They're looking at the new regulations that are coming out for 1980. So, and a lot of this was being, driven by insurance as well. So something else kind of, there again, we're looking back at hindsight of what happened to vehicles in the 80s, and we're getting a glimpse of it prior to it happening when we see bits like this in these magazines. Another segment in the Detroit Report, diesel pro versus con. Down here at the bottom, it's just a little blurb because this is just as the, GM was getting ready to release some of their, the Oldsmobile-based block-based diesel engines and things like that. So things were coming, and because of government prodding and fuel economy demands, General Motors has come up with the diesel engines for Oldsmobile cars and Chevrolet pickup trucks. Other makers are also working feverishly on diesel engines for future use because of the fuel economy. So there again, we know they came out with them. We know now that they didn't work very well. So Rocon, Montana, any 60 Cadillac front fenders. I've got 160 Cadillac in stock. It does have front fenders on it. I think they're pretty decent. If you want to give me a shout after we get done or give me a call tomorrow, I'll get you on my list and look them over. But I do have a pair. I just need to double check condition on that. Number one, can we renege the car of the year if 40 years later said car is completely absent from the roads? That's a good point. because you don't see a lot of those anymore. So something else kind of interesting. GM still makes motorhome parts. This talks about the discontinuation of GM's motorhome program, which was the GMC motorhome based on with the Tornado drivetrain, which was a very unique unit. They built them from 73 to 77 and produced 1,700 units. And it talks about that since they're not going to produce them anymore, they are still going to service the parts for them for the time being. So Old School saw an Omni last month, so there's still one on the road. Does Winnebago still exist? I believe they do. I'm not a big camper guy, so I don't know a lot of the details on that, but I do think Winnebago still does exist. One other, kind of the last Detroit news segment, once again, looking back with hindsight, this part of the article right here, industry wants to stop tinkering. This was started in the late 70s already. We look back at the late 70s and we think of how simpler things were at that point than what we've got today. And what was even more interesting was the very first line of this article. The big four car makers, because obviously we still had AMC in the mix, the big four car makers in 78 and their fuel system suppliers are already working hard on the development of tinker-proof carburetors. So, and this talks about the EPA wants 1980 and later model cars to be protected against such alterations, which you said are having detrimental effects on the clean air. So, and we all know now that 80.5 is when GM went to a somewhat computer controlled carburetor and things like that. So that's, there again, it started a long, long time ago. Today you can't hardly even find anything under the hood of a car, but that's what, all this stuff started way, way, way before we even realized. William still has an Omni GLH that runs around his town, and those are neat little cars. I think they had one of those. Meekum sold one of those in Indy, I think, last year. And so, yeah, I think those are cool little cars. Those little Omni GLHs are pretty neat. So let's get moving forward here since we wrapped up the Detroit news. Glenn, 65 Chevy Bel Air or Caprice Builder? Well, I think I just bought 25 cars this week, and there is a 65 Bel Air four-door in there, complete car. So so I might have one coming in. I talked to the guy Friday. He said, let's do it. So I've got to get him some money and get some paperwork done. But there is a 65 Bel Air four-door in that batch, Glenn. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it. Because like I said, I think there's 25 or 26 cars on this load, but we got a possibility. So Mick's on with us. Glad you made it back, Mick. Sorry he's missed a few weeks, but his Sunday's good now. We're glad to have you back. 1978 Motor Trend Car of the Year, the Chrysler brand Omni and Horizon. And it goes through, a lot of the details. And one thing it said, and this was kind of an interesting part, it had just a little, just a one-page blurb about, how they picked those cars. And it says, the procedures have become more exacting, from when it started in 1949 was when they first did the Car of the Year. But it has become more exacting, designed to test and evaluate the complete package on the basis of its design concept, and to determine as objectively as possible whether the vehicle does what the engineers and designers have intended it to do. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I'm sure that's how they came up with the Omni and the Horizon. It was a small car. It was a front-wheel drive car. It was Chrysler's first really jump into it. They were doing some imported Mitsubishi stuff prior to that. But based on what the car was supposed to be, because it wasn't supposed to be glamorous, fast, exciting. It was supposed to be a small front-wheel drive, fuel-efficient economy car, and it was. So that's apparently how they ended up at that point. They did do a nice spread on it. Lots of color pictures. As exciting as pictures can get when you're talking Omnis and Horizons, but even some once again, as action as an action shot can be with an Omni or Horizon. They do actually have the word Speedway in the shot. So, and with a little bit of a blur, so they make it look like it's going. But yeah, that's right. Number one, we just talked about the GLH, and those were a neat little car. The Shelby, and you're correct, they were Shelbys, so they weren't just a regular one. But that's what a lot of the article talked about was, it was a first for Chrysler as to how they did this with the transverse engine and the front wheel drive, and packaging it efficiently and effectively into a small space to make the car do what it was supposed to do. So it sounds kind of crazy to look back now and say all the other cars from 1978 and Omni and Horizon is the best thing they could come up with. But when you look at the push to fuel economy, CAFE ratings, all the new government regulations, and it was the right car at the right time. So, and that's right. Number one says Mom Mopar really engineered decent small cars, and there is a lot of truth to that. The Darts were not a bad car for their time. The K car platform was, today we scoff at it, but in all honesty, the K car platform was amazing. It saved the company. It was groundbreaking. They built the first minivan off of it. The K car platform, in all honesty, 50, another 30, 40, 50 years. I think the K car platform is going to be looked back upon as a huge turning point and as a revolutionary platform, for what it did. So, I'm definitely not opposed to them. I've got some in the yard, the little LeBaron convertibles, things like that. That's the other thing about it. The K car platform was probably, not only was it, groundbreaking and revolutionary in 1978, by the time they were done with that platform in the mid 80s, they had built everything out of it. Everything. They built small compact cars out of them. They made sporty cars out of them. They made the little Shelby Daytonas out of them. They made minivans out of them. They made LeBaron convertibles out of them. It's, in all honesty, although we scoff at them now and have for several years, it was one of the most diverse platforms ever created. They built the little Rampage pickups on them. They built everything on one. Literally, they built, truck, van, convertible, sports car, economy car, compact car. They built everything on the K car platform. So really, it was that diverse. I believe they came manuals or automatics. I know some of the, I don't remember what these were in this article specifically, but manuals or automatics were available in them. So, and also, like number one says, even the neons weren't bad cars either. There again, you take any small fuel efficient car and they're not going to be a rocket ship and they're not going to have the super, great ride quality, but they were still good little cars. Robert just made it. Glad you made it, Robert. The neons were around when I worked for Chrysler. So I was fairly familiar with them in the late 90s. And they weren't bad cars. They even had a neon racing series for them. So I'm not, they really weren't that bad, really weren't that bad of cars. And they're, again, something that never got the credit they deserve. And you don't find you never see a decent neon anymore. And the little coupes, you can make them handle pretty well. They were kind of a neat little car. But like I said, that was back in my Chrysler days, so I was pretty familiar with them. And, seen a lot of them in dealerships when I was traveling the country. But no, that's right, number one. There was a lot of really good cars that were small economy cars that they did put out. Let's see. Old school, are there any new manual cars manufactured for North America anymore? I'm not sure. I'm sure you can still get them in pickups, and I'm sure some economy cars probably still, but not much. Number one says we both said Rampage at the same time. Let's see. Yeah, Neon, that's right. You got it, number one. Neon ACR. That's what I couldn't spit out, was the ACR neons. Thank you. I appreciate that. Old school had a girlfriend with a 95 neon and a manual tranny, so they were neat little cars. Yep. So anyway, we look at it. We look back today and we say, how could the Omni and Horizon be the car of the year in 78. Well, that's why. I mean, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It did it very well. It saved the company. It brought the company back. It paid off the government loans early. And as a matter of fact, I ought to dig those out and show them to you. I don't have the originals, but I've actually got copies of the 2 checks that Chrysler wrote back to the government to pay off those loans in the early 80s. That was largely due in success to the K-car platform. So Thomas had a buddy with a Rampage. He put a 440 in it. I bet that was a handful. Robert used to do rebuilders. They said they did a lot of neons. They were a popular little car in the day, so there really wasn't anything wrong with them. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they did it well. There was no doubt about it. But anyway, there was a lot of Chrysler stuff in this issue. Not just the car of the year stuff, but Facebook just shut us off completely. So I don't know what happened there. I'm going to try and reconnect on Facebook real quick while we're along here, but it's just completely shut me off. Okay, we'll go ahead and keep rolling. I'll try to get reconnected over there. And we'll keep rolling with the magazine. With some of the other Chrysler stuff that came about in this magazine, I was kind of surprised how much there was, including Chrysler's gas turbine. We talked about the Chrysler turbine cars here a few weeks ago, and even Scott and a few others brought up the point of the video when they were being crushed, and this was talking about in the 70s they were still building them. All right, just bear with me here. We'll see if we can get this up. And we'll see if we can connect there. But another experimental gas turbine engine that Chrysler developed. One thing I was not aware of as I looked through this article about the still testing the gas turbines in the late 70s was the Department of Energy was extremely involved with it. It said Chrysler built the cars, but the U.S. Department of Energy helped pay for it. So it was kind of interesting to see, obviously the copper cars that they came out, I think in 63, everybody's familiar with those. Okay, I hope we're back on Facebook. Facebook just completely shut me off. So I'm trying to reconnect if you're jumping back on Facebook. But they were still testing this stuff, even in the late 70s. So there again, and one thing about this one that was a little tough, or it's kind of tough to understand sometimes, it did give you a nice schematic of the turbine engine in this article. So that was kind of cool as well. Okay, if you're back on with us on Facebook, they did shut us off completely, so I did restart, so hopefully you're back with us. Robert, yeah, they sold neons like mad. Jason had two neons RTs in 99s. Those were neat little cars, and those were fairly sporty. Number one, there was a yard maintenance company in my town that used Rampages because the beds were low enough to back up the curb and walk the mowers off, which, that makes perfect sense. Really, it does. The plate behind me. Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. Old school, gas prices going up. Yes, gas prices are going up everywhere, it seems like. So a few people back on with us on Facebook, so hopefully you guys are on the feed right now. The plate behind me, the Bucyrus Erie, that was actually equipment company. That one came off of a crane. I found it in a scrapyard several years ago. Had 2 or 3 of those on it. Those are actually porcelain sign. They're nice porcelain plates. They're really cool. It's not a good, heavy, single-sided porcelain, but that one actually came off a crane. But they're nice signs. A lot of their equipment did have them, but there was no stickers or decals on this stuff back in the day. That is an actual, true metal-based porcelain sign that they put on the side of their equipment. So that's how proud they were of them. And so it's kind of a cool piece, something a little bit different. A little off the beaten path for tonight, but that's okay. It's something a little different, something else to talk about. So thanks for bringing it up, Robert. But that's what it is. Next article in the 1978 Motor Trend. Jason snapped a few half shafts. I'm sure you probably did. But non-metals to lighten your car. As automotive crystal ballers gaze into the future, they're seeing more and more glass and plastic and possibly graphite. And it shows a model and a bodybuilder both holding up big, huge spring packs. Once again, we're getting into, looking at hindsight 2020 with what we've got today versus what they were looking at in the late 70s. And one of the samples they gave, of course, which we were starting to see very common in the late 70s, the company name Bucyrus Erie. Bucyrus Erie is how I've always said it. So I don't know if that's correct or not, but I've always called it Bucyrus Erie, and that's what I've always known. Fiberglass header panels, obviously very common back in the late 70s. And actually gives a breakdown on a Ford lightweight vehicle program that says building a prototype 6-passenger car that weigh 2,500 pounds. And it shows a breakdown on some of the different types of composite materials and things like that they were looking at using in 1978. Now, obviously today, almost everything's plastic. You've got more plastic panels than you've got metal panels on most cars. So there again, a glimpse into our future of what we have today from the past. The next article I found, once again, a Chrysler article, and I love this article. I can't find anything on it. I don't think it ever happened. I say Bucyrus, Bucyrus is how I say it. Don't know if that's right. That's just how I've always said it. This thing looks super cool. I don't think it made it into production because I can't find anything on it. And I did do a little bit of research, can't find anything. It says in the article that this was a prototype, a test mule, but the car was built. And they did take it out and test and ran it across the country and tested it. I thought it was a super cool concept. I'd love to find one today, but I don't think they exist. Of the Plymouth Valari Load Runner. Load with an L. Load Runner. They literally took a Valari station wagon and made it sporty. And it was so cool. Number one says 2,500 pounds and 6 passengers VW bus. Well, that's probably pretty close. But this thing was awesome. I'm sure it never made it to production that I can find. If anybody else knows anything about this, please put it up there so we can talk about it. But so cool. And would have been such a great car. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it never happened. They called it a mule car. And it says they drove it from Detroit to L.A. On a road test. But this thing it gives us an option breakdown of the package, and then I'll show you the pictures. But it's a basic Valari station wagon with a 360 automatic, sure grip diff, air, cruise, power windows, power steering, AM/FM 8-track. And including the Load Runner package, so they actually had it packaged out with $6,700, which was a lot of money back then, when base price was $4,195. But with the 360 and cruise, steering, brakes, air, you also got a lot of the stuff from the RT and the Roadrunner Sport Pack, because remember they did make Aspen and Valari RT and Roadrunners. And so from those packages, on top of the 360 and everything else you also got front spoiler, front and rear wheel opening flares, dual body colored mirrors, luggage rack, blacked out grille, rally custom wheels, tape stripes, bucket steering wheel, wood grain instrument cluster, fully carpeted cargo compartment. And it actually had it was a console floor shift. So this thing was buckets, console, floor shift, sport wheel, AM/FM 8-track, 360. I mean, this thing would be awesome if you could find one today. Maddie says bootlegger special. That's true. Robert says he's never heard of it. We do have some ads coming up, number one, but I had to show you the Load Runner Valari because I had never seen it, and it's got all these great pictures. I mean, they're black and white, but you see the flares, the wheels, the bucket seats, the console, the floor shift, the steering wheel. I mean, this would have been a super neat car in its day. I don't think any exist. You know, this was a test mule, and I bet that it never made it into production. But if anybody has anything on it, please let me know. I would love to talk about it some more. I would love to learn more about it. I got a feeling this is probably it, but if there's any more out there on them, I would love to learn more about them. So, ads. We want to see some ads. Let's get into some ads. Lots of cool ads, primarily car stuff. That's right. Robert says it would have been cool. It would have been cool. I'm just as excited to see it. The Chevy Love, longest box of any economy pickup. Cool color, a cool Love here with cool graphics on it. I think I bought a couple of Loves this week too, by the way. I think they were on that list. It's a Trailhawk before the Trailhawk. There you go. Good call, number one. Next ad, the little Oldsmobile. I believe these were an Omega. The same thing as the Skyhawk and the Monza of the Starfire GT. Once again, a sporty type economy car that has almost been forgotten about over the years. You know, I like to try to stick with car ads for the most part. We do got to mix in some of the other stuff just because it's cool. And one thing, and of course, obviously they were starting to regulate a lot of this. Old school's never heard of the Starfire either. Lots of cigarette ads in here, and I'm not a smoker. I'm not a big fan of it, but I had to, this one was so 70s that I had to bring it up. This is for Fact cigarettes. And the guy looks very matter of fact in the ad for Fact cigarettes. And this is so 70s. That's why we had to talk about it. Fact number one, we don't want your taste buds to go to sleep. Fact number two, we have smoke scrubbers in our filter. These Purite scrubbers work like magnets to reduce the same aldehydes and let the fine flavor come through. Fact three, we have a patent on flavor in low tar cigarettes. It's like, wow. If that stuff isn't 70s, I don't know what is. So, like I said, we usually try to stick with car stuff, but some of this stuff is so era-ish. We got to work some of it in. So Facebook is back up, but still cutting in and out, Kevin says. I guess that's better than when we lost the whole thing a little bit ago. So we'll keep doing what we can. I do have some error messages on my Facebook feed, but I'm not sure what we can do about it right now. Old school, there were way more chemicals now in cigarettes than pre-1980 cigarettes. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, this is a cool ad. Delco Electronics introducing the Delco GM 8-track stereo you can talk on. Yes, your factory Delco CB radio. Obviously, this is February of 1978, shortly after a movie we've probably heard of called Smokey and the Bandit came out, shortly after the movie Convoy came out. So this was a pretty big deal. They had to get these out there. They had to let everybody know you could get them in your brand new car straight from GM, just like everybody else had. But that's how popular CBs got. So it was so cool to see the Delco ad for the factory CBs. Old school, he still got a Delco. Let's see. All right, let's flip forward a few pages here. That's right, Kevin, 10-4, good buddy. That's the way it goes. Champion Spark Plugs. This was companies getting on board with the Car of the Year ads. I don't have a handle, number one. I don't have a CB handle, so never. I've got some CBs because they're cool. I've actually got I don't think it's in here. I think it took the next building. I actually have a brand new in the box C.W. McCall approved CB radio. Says so right on the box. Says right in front of the box, approved by C.W. McCall. So I found that at an auction. I had to own it. I probably never put it on anything, but it looks cool because I got an actual, authentic, approved CB radio by C.W. McCall. So it was a great branding tool for the day. I guess you get C.W. McCall to put his name on your brand of CB. It was great. So Robert said he had one of those brand new in his 78 Trans Am. Yep, that's when they come out. Champion Spark Plugs jumping on board on the bandwagon on the Omnia and Horizon Car of the Year award. Obviously still common today. A lot of these manufacturers are involved. They jump in with it. Robert's handle was Hummingbird. Okay. I don't know how you got Hummingbird, but I guess it works. Let's see. Same thing, General Tires. The General Tire and Rubber Company congratulates Chrysler on the all-new efficiency-sized Horizon and Omni. So, there again, the manufacturers of the components getting involved, as they're again a good marketing campaign. You want to be involved with you want to be involved with the winner. If you were involved with the winner, you want to let everybody know about it. Let's see. Another great ad. Oh, because his Trans Am would hum. Okay, I guess that makes sense. That's why he went by Hummingbird. The Silver Anniversary Corvette. Nice big full color ad with the 53 and, of course, the Silver 78. There again, a good ad. Nice heritage looking ad. Obviously, the 78 Corvette was a pretty big deal in its day. A lot of the pace cars sold for way over sticker, things like that. People put them up. Just kind of starting to come into their own finally, but a nice ad. Donald, a lot of those Volare front ends went under 53 to 56 Ford pickups back in the day. Yeah, I can believe that. Jason had to handle the Matchbox Kid when he used to hang out with his grandpa. And there again, that's what's great about some of this stuff. Just something as simple as a piece of paper, an ad in a magazine that we flipped open. Just look what it brought back that we're all talking about, back when when people were familiar with it, and it brings back memories just because we flipped open a magazine to a certain page and we're all talking about it and having a great conversation. And that's what's awesome. And that's what makes this chat so great. It's all of you guys. This is another Chrysler. This is a Chrysler ad. However, nothing to do with the Omni or the Horizon, but a very formal looking ad, full color, to introduce the 1978 Cordoba. Very personal, very formal, the very picture of style. T-top car in the ad, very beautiful scenery, very, formal looking shots, professional photographers. So pretty neat looking ad. I mean, obviously the Cordoba, another one of those cars that, are starting to get a little bit of their due, but probably, never really have over the years. And to go with the Cordoba ad, a few pages after the fact, Dodge had their ad. And what was cool about this is the way they did it. And this is for the Dodge Magnum. Obviously, that's right, Robert. Fine Corinthian leather. That was one of their big advertising campaigns with Ricardo Montalban. Was fine Corinthian leather. Rich Corinthian. I think it was fine. Number one said rich Corinthian leather. I think it was fine Corinthian leather is how they did it. But the Dodge Magnum ad, ever wonder what happened to the kid who used to burn up 11th Street? Well, he's grown up and he's got a Dodge Magnum. Formal looking car, T-tops, but it's still got his AAR sitting in the background. So there again, a little bit of a throwback. And you got to remember, this is 1978. That is an 8-year-old used car that really wasn't probably very highly regarded at that point. A lot of people, you could buy Hemi cars and, for $4 or $5 grand back in that day. And they just did, things weren't just what they are today. So, but a cool ad, a throwback to what was going on in that time and show that as people matured, so did their cars, but they still stuck with the Chrysler brand. Okay. What else do we have here? We'll catch a couple of more and then we'll get into the trivia and the raffle. Couple more here towards the back that I want to catch, and then we'll get rolling. If I can figure out where it is. This one ad's really great, and I really wanted to show it to you. Here we go. Also a Dodge ad. A new set of adult toys from Dodge. This showed the pickups, Ram Charger, and of course the full-size Dodge vans. So another super cool ad, great color. You know, Warlock right there, Power Wagon, Ram Charger, and of course the van. So super great ad there. One more ad that I'm going to catch, and it is a Mustang 2 Cobra. Once again, nice full color ad on the inside back cover of the little Mustang 2. Once again, cars that, as we look back at these cars from the 70s, finally starting to get a little bit of recognition, and people are starting to like them again. So there again, you know, something else kind of cool, and we're looking back in time, which is what is so great. And I'm glad you guys were able to take a few bits and pieces out of tonight's magazine and really made it your own. We had some great discussion about it, which is always exciting. So we'll go ahead and get moving forward here a little bit. We got to do a little bit of trivia, and we're going to talk about the raffle, new inventory, and new videos, and then we'll get wrapped up so everybody can get back to their evening. Robert says that was the last year for that Stang. That's correct, because the Fox body would have come out in 79. So that is correct. Trivia tonight. The can is actually still draining, so I don't have it with me. It is a Pennzoil can, round yellow Pennzoil cardboard, so probably a 70s era can. Decent graphics on it, but I've actually got it draining. I usually don't drain them till after we do trivia, so they don't leak on the desk. This one I went ahead and punched it, and it's still on there over there draining. But it is a nice looking Pennzoil can. We're going to fire off to tonight's winner. If you have been one of our winners in the last couple weeks, I shipped all those cans yesterday. I think I had 3 cans go out yesterday, so be watching for those, as well as a few T-shirts. Had a couple T-shirts I needed to ship, so if you had sent me money for a T-shirt, those are on the way as well. But obviously the first part of my week was pretty screwed up, trying to get back in the groove, so all that stuff went yesterday in the mail. If you do want a T-shirt just like the one behind me, you know, you can PayPal me or send me a check on those, and I can get those fired out to you as well. 60s Dodge vans, I've got 166 A100 is the only thing I've got in that era right now. But trivia tonight for the Pennzoil can. I did several videos from Rocky Mountain Race Week. One of them was about the Road Week program. I don't know if any of you have been following a lot of those, but Road Week is the deal where you can follow along. You get the routes, you get entry into all the tracks, you get the sticker pack, you get the swag bag. We have prizes for Road Weekers. You get to do everything but go down the drag strip. So it's a great time. You get to hang out. You get to go to all the races. You get to drive around with a bunch of cool people and a bunch of cool cars, and you go to drag races all week. So it's not really too bad a week. Plus, you're not near as hard on your equipment when you're not racing it. So, but on the Road Weeker video, we looked at a handful of different vehicles that were on Road Week. And there was a white Ford pickup in that video. What was special about that white Ford pickup? It was a special version. So what was the white Ford pickup? Keep an eye on. I've still got Facebook up. If anybody is on there and can even hear any of that, we do still show some viewers, but I'm still getting error messages on Facebook right now. So we'll see what happens there. Once again, the raffle, this month's raffle, Jess got it. Jason got it. Jess was first with Lightning. It was a Ford Lightning. That is correct. So Jess is our winner tonight. Barely beat Jason to the punch. And then we got bunches of them coming in now. So, but that's what it was. It was a early 90s Ford Lightning pickup. So that there again, but that's the stuff you see. You never know what you're going to see because it's all just cool stuff rolling down the highway and people having a great time. So lots of got a handful of them just boom, boom, boom right after each other on that. But Jess was the fastest tonight. So number one says that wasn't a Mustang. It was a Pinto. But anyway, I knew where you were going with that, Jason. I knew you just missed the letter, but I knew where you were going with that. So anyway, Jess says Rico helps. So that's good. So we'll get that can out for them as well. And actually that blew a few things off my screen too. So I missed a couple things there, I think, as well when all those came in. But anyway, that was what it was. It was a Ford Lightning. We had Rico's pickup on that video. My buddy Brent, he's on here with us a lot. His pickup was on that video. Another old Ford pickup, Monte Carlo SS. Old School says it's rigged. But like I said, it's just a neat deal. Be sure to check out those videos. And if you have a chance, try to go. It's a great time. It's awesome. So raffle this week, or this month, excuse me, because we are going to extend this month because I missed so much of June. A pair of Chrysler Industrial Hemi valve covers is going to go to the winner this month. This one and the mate to it. The mate is dented up a little bit, but still awesome pieces. They're great decorator pieces, super cool. So winner's going to get a pair of these. Plus, we've got an oil can for the second place winner. Old School says he watched, but he has CRS disease. So that happens. That happens to all of us, actually. So don't feel bad. So be sure to get your chances in for the raffle of the Hemi valve covers. And like I said, I haven't been here to deal with it, so that's why we're going to push it into July. Number one says the years before Pinto Stangs weren't Mustangs either. They were on Torino frames. I assume you're probably talking about the 71 to 73s at that point. So Jason says those are going to look great on his wall, so he's already planning on winning. As of right now, I think there's 3 of you in. Let's see. Are you in, Jason? Yes, Jason's in. Lee is in, and William are in. Those are the only 3 that are in right now, so you got pretty good chances. Actually, I think Jason bought a ton of chances. So actually, as of right now, he's got a great shot because he bought a ton of chances. So, but those Lee, Jason, and William, your names are already in the big Buick can for the drawing at the end of the month. So be sure to get your chances in. $1 a chance. You send me $5. You go in here 5 times. $10. You go in there 10 times. Same thing. End of July, we will draw for the winner and send that stuff off. Robert's telling Jason to quit winning. So, but like I said, everybody gets a fair shot. The more chances you buy, obviously, the better your shot is. But it's we're just doing it to have fun. I'm trying to I got to cover what I got to pay for the stuff and to ship it to you. So that's what I'm trying to do, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So it's great. But be sure to get your chances in. And like I said, it's with me being gone this much in June, it just didn't have time to deal with it. So we're going to push it into July and give that away at the end of July, and then August we'll have a new raffle. Jason says sorry he can't quit winning. So Buick Special Oil or Special Buick Oil. That's right, Robert. End of July. We got a calendar right here we can look at. See when July 31st is on a Saturday, so we will probably do it August 1st on Sunday. That way we can do the giveaway and announce the August raffle on the same night. So August 1 is when we will do that. That's right, Robert. If you guys have any questions, throw them up there. Absolutely. I mean, I want everybody to be on the same page. I don't want to hide anything from anybody. We're just here to have fun. So yeah, anybody you've got a question or not sure, just ask. Old School says that if Jason's tired of his truck, he would take it too. So the truck was cool. I loved it. So anyway, new inventory. Shockingly, I did buy more cars this week as soon as I got home. 1992 Camaro Rs Coupe. Jason says the truck's probably not going anywhere. So 1992 Camaro Rs Coupe, found it locally in town, 87,000 miles. Not a terrible old car. It's got some paint issues on the top surfaces, hood and roof, and a little bit of wear on the left driver's seat. V6 automatic. It will fire up, but it will not stay running. So it's been sitting for about 2 or 3 years. I bet it's got a fuel pump issue. So but cars still got a lot of potential, but like I said, not a terrible little car. It does show 87,000 actual miles, clean title. Too good a car to part out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but like I said, it's a pretty decent 92 RS. We'll get you a video on that soon. Picked up a 1980 Chevy half-ton pickup, which 80 I think had kind of its own unique nose. In it, just regular long bed half-ton 2-wheel drive pickup. In its day, it would have been a really slick truck though. two-tone emerald green and white, Silverado, power windows, power locks, tilt column, factory diesel. It was originally a diesel pickup. Still has the diesel badges on it. But, like we talked about earlier in the magazine, that those diesels were not the best diesel out there. It has been swapped out to an old 307 at some point in its life. So we will definitely get a video up on that soon as well. I shot that one today. So we'll be getting that one up there too. Bought a bunch of 47, 48 Chevy parts, including some new old stock stuff, a bunch of new old stock grill pieces, a bunch of hash marks for the fenders, like on a fleet line that go behind the wheels. So a bunch of that stuff going to be popping up here shortly as well. New videos for this week. Tons. I don't even know. Yes, number one, that would have been the Olds diesel. So they swapped it out with an Olds 307 engine. And like I said, it was a half-ton two-wheel drive pickup. It wasn't like a 3/4 ton or 1 ton they were towing with, because a lot of those actually got 455s back in the day. But this one just has a 307 in it. So neat pickup though. And I bet it was sharp. Emerald green and white. I bet that thing stood out. So that came from the deal where it looks like I'm going to get 25 more out of. So going to have to do a lot of hustling over there. But obviously I've still got new inventory from before I left that I haven't shot videos on yet. We got some of that done today. I'll get out this week. Got a video ready on the 49 Chevy 3600 3/4 ton pickup, 5-window custom cab. Probably one of the best looking patina trucks I've ever had. It's a great pickup, chrome grill, chrome window trim, chrome caps, great looking pickup. Shot a video on that today. It'll be coming out. 1935 Chevy truck. It was a 1.5 ton chassis cab, so there's no bed, but nice cab and front clip, cool old truck. Got that video coming. Did a video on the 80 Chevy, so we'll get some of that content out as well. Kevin, thanks for the walk around this past week. And well, we tried to do a walk around. It wasn't very successful. After about 20 minutes, the phone overheated and shut down. So, and it was only in the mid 90s. So I don't know what the deal was there, but it wasn't extremely hot, but the phone sure didn't like it. So we had to punt on that one. So maybe this weekend or some other time, if we can get it down in the 80s or something, maybe we'll try to knock another one out. So, and I'll try to give everybody a little better notice when we do get to that point. But to do another one, but we'll definitely try to do some more of those. I posted a video the other night about some Mustang convertibles. Those are a buddy of mine's cars. He's got some really cool stuff in stock that's totally different than anything I've got. So I've still got 2 or 3 more videos to come from his place. I've got one Route 66 attraction video that we stopped at when we were heading to the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company a couple weeks ago. So definitely want to show you that video. That was pretty cool. Kind of an iconic, stop along Route 66. So definitely wanted to shoot a clip there. We'll get that one up. Plus, I've still got videos from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. Toy Tuesday is going to be, some epic stuff that I bought from Doug Prey at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company for my own personal stash. Our friend from Canada who sent me the Super Test sign a while back, I'm sure old school remembers. He sent me a couple cool things I just got yesterday. Haven't even had time to go through it all. Going to work some of that stuff into Toy Tuesday. Probably not this time, but here in a couple weeks, we'll have some cool stuff coming from there. Tons of stuff going on. Like I said, I'm gonna put out extra videos this week just because I've got so much stuff going, and so much stuff that like I said, tons more new inventory coming in, and I don't want to get behind showing you guys this stuff. And the stuff that's decent, complete vehicles, it just takes a few minutes to get around them. So lots of stuff going on there. Number one is put the phone in the fridge for 10 minutes. Yeah, that'll probably work for a while, but when we're just out there wandering around, it heats up pretty quick apparently. And I don't know what it takes, as far as when that phone's running, what it takes to run it internally either. Yes, I have been busy. That's an understatement. There's never a shortage of anything for me to do. But anyway, that's kind of about what I've got for tonight. As always, I super appreciate you guys swinging by. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll go ahead and get ready to wrap up. I don't know what happened on Facebook once again. It just is absolutely not cooperating. I don't know what the deal is. I've had problems uploading videos from my phone. I've had problems uploading posts. Posts have been going, but they don't go right. It shows it didn't go, and it shows, wants to repost or discard, but it's already posted when you open up a new window. So Facebook just has not been cooperating, period. I'm getting some stuff up there. Be sure to stay up, stay tuned, keep an eye on, stay up with what's going on, because I am getting some stuff posted, but it has just not been working very well at all. So Robert says his channel always puts a smile on his face. Well, I appreciate that. I really do, because this isn't, like I said, I'm shocked that, every week you guys come back. We've got a great group on here. I know this time of the year, we don't end up with a ton of people on here. We usually top out at 30 or 40. In the wintertime, we'll have twice that on here. But it's not the best time of the year for things like this. People are busy. They've got activities going on. I fully understand that. So I really appreciate, all of you that do swing by, hang out, or even catch some of it later on. So, but like I said, if you guys, the fact that you guys engage, you participate, and that's what makes it awesome. And like I said, a lot of times I don't have the answer and you guys do. So, am I selling much inventory? I need to be, because I spent a ton of money. I need to be selling inventory. I just haven't had time to deal with it. I'm still selling some stuff, but not near as much as I should be. But because and you're right, I have had a ton of it coming in, tons of it. So I need to get a lot of it going back out. That's for sure. Jason says he has a lot of fun. He appreciates it. Well, like I said, I'm glad you guys come by. I do put some work into this. I do try to make it something. I build this every Saturday night. Every Saturday night, I'm down here from about 10 to midnight building this, going through the magazines, making the notes, getting the topics ready. So I do try to do a good job for you guys, and I hope I do. But I do try. I do put effort into it and try to make it something that we all enjoy hanging out at. So the fact that you guys come by and have fun with us is great. Tell your buddies, have them swing by, tell them to jump on with us, and hang out with us next week. So that's all I've got. I'll keep an eye on comments for a few more seconds here as we wrap up. Jess says she's already sleeping at that time. Well, that's probably so, but I got too much work to do. Never a shortage of stuff to do. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate the kind words. I don't catch all the comments on all the videos. I'm just on too many different platforms with too many pages. I help manage a lot of other Facebook pages other than my own. I've got several of my own, and I help manage several others. So there's no way to keep up with all the comments. But when you guys are posting this stuff up there, it's great and it means a lot. But like I said, it wouldn't mean anything if you weren't here. So that's what I've got cooking. Like I said, this week's going to be videos all week, probably every night. By the time I get some cool Ford stuff my buddy has for sale that is nothing, unlike any of the stuff that I've got. We'll do Toy Tuesday live once again, and I can't wait to do that because I'm super, super excited about the stuff that Doug sold me to add to my collection. Fiber hookup, they came by right before I left, which I guess now would have been 3 weeks ago. And they are waiting on the utilities contractor to do the bore. So, it's been well past 60. They told me 30 to 60 days, and we're definitely past 60 days. So I'm still waiting. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. I'm waiting for the utilities contractor to get over and do the bore. So hopefully that may help. But we still seem to be, for the most part, okay on YouTube. But Facebook, like I said, it's not just video. I've had problems with even just posting on Facebook later. So that's what's going on with that. Nothing that I know of. But as always, appreciate it. I'm going to jump off. I got a lot of work to do yet tonight. And we'll see you tomorrow night with some new inventory. We'll see you live Tuesday night with Awesome Toy Tuesday. And like I said, I'll be cranking videos out all week. I think I've got one more Rocky Mountain Race Week video that I want to do a little bit more touch up on. And then we will, I'll have that up, and then I'll be pretty much wrapped up with the Rocky Mountain Race Week videos. So Kevin says, sounds like the city of Houston. Well, maybe that's where they're not getting stuff done either, but that's what I'm up against here. So hopefully sooner rather than later. So anybody wants a t-shirt, hit me up. We can get those out to you as well. We'll send this can out to Jess. And we will see you back here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, same channel, same station, and maybe Facebook will work. Hopefully, if not, we're going to hang out here on YouTube. We're going to talk about old cars. We're going to check out some cool stuff. We're going to have a great time. So thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. We will see you this week and definitely see you back here next Sunday night. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hope to see you on next Sunday night's live chat.